G'day art adventurers, my name is Christopher and thanks for stopping by to Inktober 2018, day 11 with the prompt word cruel. I've chosen as my subject the wonderful and fascinating Maleficent, first introduced in popular culture by Disney in 1959 in the movie Sleeping Beauty, and then later portrayed by Angelina Jolie in the movie Maleficent, where we see things from her point of view. I first did some line work with a Uni Pin Fineliner. I know that I'll change that later, but it's waterproof and means that I will be able to see what I'm doing. And then I start to go in with inks. These are Marabou Aqua inks in coloured inks, the lemon yellow, the fluorescent Reseda green, and I opened that in a recent Art Snacks unopening if you want to go and check out that video. And I also used the colour Petrol for some shadow work and Carmine Red for her lips. I quite like the green effect for the highlights and for the flames, especially considering I was feeling a bit worn out and I was really rushing through this piece. My last few pieces I'd put a lot of effort into, especially with day 9 on the word precious, where I did a rainbow lorikeet, and also just from spending a lot of time on video editing. So I was going quite quickly through this. I also learned that these inks are re-wettable and can move around again after drying on this paper, and previously I thought that they couldn't be moved once dry, as they claimed on the Marabou website, because when I tried it on my Canson paper, I couldn't get much movement. I then shift to putting in black Sumi ink. It's a manga ink that I picked up in Japan just before I moved to the US. I haven't used it yet because I didn't really know what to do with it. It was just an impulse buy before I left, and it ended up being far more goopy and behaved much more strangely than I expected. I guess I was expecting something more like an Indian ink, and I added salt to try to get effects and that didn't really work, and I also was hoping to get a dark layer, but it ended up drying into a range of greys. I'm sure it's great for manga artists, but it wasn't really what I was hoping for. In the end, I end up with some kind of interesting effects because when I try to rub off the salt, it ends up with some interesting textures. I also use on the background ink by J. Herbin, and these inks are quite expensive. I think this one is the brown ink, but if you lay it down as a wash, you get a really interesting range of reds and teals and greens begin to spread out, as well as actual gold flecks which are added into the ink. And I'm sure all of those features are why it's fairly expensive. I think somewhere between $20 to $30 a bottle, but it was something that I really was keen to try out after watching some other YouTubers use it over time, and it comes in a range of colors. I think it really contrasts nicely with the green flames, and I mix it in with the Carmine Red ink on her lips. I end up making a bunch of mistakes in this piece, including on her lips, but I guess I was just being a little careless and rushing things, trying to just get this piece done. I did learn a lot though, and I was just trying to keep in mind the Jake Parker mantra of finished, not perfect. And if you haven't seen that video, I recommend checking it out because it's really quite encouraging, especially if you're finding some of the days challenging if you're doing Inktober, or just for anything that you're trying to be motivated about in your life. I finished this piece with some white highlights, some of which I regret, and I also go in with some white gouache to tone down the shadow on her cheekbone. And then that's pretty much it for this piece. I will leave you with the curse scene from the movie Maleficent, and I'll see you again for another Inktober piece tomorrow. If you haven't subscribed already, please also consider hitting the subscribe button. Okay, bye-bye.
I too shall bestow a gift on the child. Listen well, all of you. The princess shall indeed grow in grace and beauty, beloved by all who meet her. But before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she will prick her finger on the spindle of the spinning wheel and fall into a sleep like death! A sleep from which she will never awaken! The princess can be woken from her death sleep, but only by true love's kiss. This curse will last to the end of time! No power on earth can change it!